on this so we can head into lunch in good shape here. As Christy said, my name is Kenny Smith. I'm the risk control manager for One Beacon. I just happen to have some national responsibilities, but State Office of Risk Management is one of my personal accounts that I handle on a regular basis. So when we talk about the activities that are involved in a lot of the different organizations that we insure, over the last couple of years I've become familiar with a lot of the entities, and each quarter we do some loss runs, and we try to show exactly where the individual insured locations are having some claim frequency and severity issues. So if you if you are a participant in the program, you will be getting those. Part of the State Office of Risk Management services, they have representatives that will come out and meet with you individually. So the things that we're going to cover here, most of it you probably already seen when you worked with the folks there at the State Office of Risk Management. So let's kick into gear here. And the next set of slides here, this is for the entire SORM set of affiliated operations. This includes every one of the insureds in a gross accumulated set of data here. So this cause of accident is a particular loss run that we do for each account. Let's go to the next one, because we take just the top 5 or 6 for the sake of this discussion, and we can see that struck other vehicle ahead is right up at the top of the list. And from a frequency perspective, we've had 57 total claims for the entire organization, struck other vehicle ahead, and that accumulated 44% of the total claim dollars. Next one. So when we look at the severity side of it, or how much did we pay out, happens to be struck other vehicle ahead, accumulated 62% of the total dollars that were spent for the $283,000. Next. So in the world of risk management and risk control, anytime we can identify the frequency trend leader and the severity trend leader as all in the same one, that's got a great big yellow and sometimes a red flag saying start right here. This is an easy place. So when we have run all of our individual department loss runs, many of those had this same struck other vehicle ahead. That's the reason it's at the top of our list from a gross data perspective. So if there was one thing that you guys could do to help yourselves and to better your program, it would be to take a look at those struck other vehicle ahead accidents and start doing a little bit of accident investigation, asking the why questions, and we'll get into that just a little bit. This is just a little bit different look. 62% of all the accidents are that struck other vehicle ahead. In other words, rear-end accidents. We're hitting the car ahead of us. So we have some real thoughts on what's driving that, but let's go ahead and go right down the list. Kyle, thanks. Let's look just a little bit beyond those percentage numbers. Next item. So what's driving all that? Is it distracted driving? Is it, you know, we're looking at GPS systems, maps, different things. Are we having passenger conversations? Maybe we're preoccupied with everything else but driving. Maybe we've had arguments, those sort of things with the spouse or the boss, or those sort of things. Could be, but all too often we're coming to the conclusion as a management group that it's basic employee fault. Just they did a stupid thing. Maybe, maybe not. We might have some additional things to consider. 95% of the accidents have 2 or more contributing factors. That's just a basic thing that we cover in all risk control operations. Hardly anything, any accident out there is the result of just one causation factor. Anytime we start doing this accident investigation process, we need to be involved in taking a look at the various components of the people, part of that equation, the equipment, environment, materials, even the entity procedures, or maybe the departmental procedures. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. We talk about it in a little bit different manner, simply to make a point. These are the same 6 items: the people, equipment, entity policy, environment, materials, department policies. Typically, we're going to have at least 2 of these factors, oftentimes 3 and 4, that combine together to make up the incident situations that lead up to this effect, which is the accident. Now, you can use this process whether it's automobile, workers' compensation, general liability. It's just a thought process to get us all going down that correct road. But keep in mind, we typically have at least 2 factors that show up in almost any accident. A couple of underlying reasons, and we're trying to get to those root causes, right? We're trying to make sure we're identifying the right areas so we don't have that same type of accident again. So once you guys have reported the accident and we start going through that self-evaluation process about what happened, how it happened, these are the items that I want you guys to think about and spend some time looking and reflecting to make sure that we're identifying all those areas. If we don't, the accident will be sure to repeat itself again and again. Okay, next item. Kyle, go ahead and talk about that side of it.
Well, as Kenny alluded to, accidents do happen, and sometimes driving is not the primary function that we're using. Sometimes it's the second, third, or maybe for the 4th thing we're doing in the car when we're operating the vehicle. So, maybe you're checking your GPS or your phone for your messages or messing with that email. So, or you could be distracted from a family dispute or something like that. So, it's very important that when accidents happen, that you submit the claim as soon as possible so we can get the process started, because we'd like to have accidents, prevent accidents from the onset, but that's not always possible. So when it does happen, ensure not only your employees, anybody else involved in the accident is okay, and then you want to submit that claim as soon as possible, and you want to use the accident report form, which I'll show you here in a second. And on the accident report form, we have SORM is named insured for the automobile program. However, it's in care of your for the state agency. So it's very important that when you report the accident, that not only you let the one beacon, the carrier, know that yes, I'm part of the SORM automobile program, but I'm University of Houston or Texas Parks and Wildlife that's within the SORM program, because we've had incidents where an accident happened, it was reported, and all that was reported was that, oh, I'm part of the SORM program, and that was it. Well, it came out on the back end that we had when we got the claim summary and the loss reports for the quarterly summary, that SORM our agency was identified by having an accident by an employee that's not an employee of SORM, and was not. So we're asking questions. Why is this on here, and what happened? So, and then going back, it's a very cumbersome process. Going back and looking at what happened and the root cause. We found out that the person that reported the accident and submitted the loss report form didn't put the specific agency that they were with. So this is the first page of the auto loss report form. We give these to all of our client agencies. We did have some templates back there, and I believe they're all taken up. But this can also be used for any agency that's even a non-participant in the automobile program. You would just knock out this little step right here where you notify us in one beacon. So this is a template that can be used for any agency as well. So and that's one part we highlighted. That's where you would add the name and then the agency name. And then also right here down at the bottom, we have the policy number. It's very important. It's also a good practice for those that drive on state businesses, whether in the personally owned vehicles or a scheduled auto, that this form's included along with the ID card inside the glove box or somewhere where it's accessible, so in case an event happens. So again, this is the second page of the loss form. It's just collecting general information, such as the day, type of loss, the vehicle that was involved, which is very important that you just describe the vehicle, because we do have incidences where we have agencies within the automobile program that have courtesy vehicles that aren't scheduled autos, but they are used on state business, such as a coach going out on a recruiting trip or something to that effect. So, and those autos are covered within our automobile program. So, very important to capture that vehicle information, and then obviously the driver of that vehicle as well. So, then the next page, you're going in, and then you're going to collect the information about the other driver and the other vehicles. And then down below, that bottom section is where you're going to write in your report. And then we have this lovely little pictogram with those elementary style drawings that we did. We did our best, but we're not very good artists. So, but you can try and draw it. But the best thing I do, and I believe all of us have a smartphone. So the best thing you can do is pull that out, take pictures, video of the damages and stuff like that. It'll help expedite the process, and it actually help the adjuster as well. So, and then if the police are involved and you have to call them in emergency services, you want to grab their contact information below, and it's always good to have them sign in data to verify that that information is correct. So we kind of went through what the claims reporting process is, which is on that left side. When an accident happens, obviously you want to ensure everybody's okay, call 911 if necessary, then notify your agency representative. And there is sometimes, especially with our larger agencies, a breakdown in communication as to who should I notify within my agency. So it's very important for those that are authorized drivers for state business that you clearly state what their expectations are and the policies and procedures that go along with that. So in notifying the agency representative, hopefully they filled out, that loss form's been filled out and everything's correct. And then it goes filed to the insurance company, and then it'll come to us, notify us as well. And as we mentioned, we get a claims notification. We also forward that on to you, so that way the claims process can be expedited. As Donnie pointed out, it may not take but just a couple of hours for you to get a phone call from the adjuster. So, and obviously the adjuster will ask questions, and then hopefully the claim gets settled in a quick and efficient manner. However, just reporting the claim, that's not all you can do. There is, the agency has due diligence to find out and to conduct your own investigation to find out root causes as to why this accident happened. For instance, we have inclement weather, possibility of rain, sleet, and waking up with ice, possibility in the morning. If you have to travel in the morning and then you have an accident, you hit a patch of ice, hit another car. Well, the investigation doesn't stop with, hey, it's icy outside and we hit a patch and we hit a car and that's it. Well, you need to be asking more questions, such as why did you have to go that morning and drive on the road? Was it necessary for you to be on the road? Did you have the latitude in order to postpone your visit? So those are questions that need to be asked. And, was that visit necessary? So those are additional questions you might want to ask to get a root cause, because then it could be a management policy that I had to go do it and I didn't have the authority or latitude in order to call up my supervisor and say, hey, road conditions are unsafe. I don't feel like driving. I want to postpone it. So you need to communicate to the employees what the expectations are, as well as the latitude that they have in special situations such like that. And then you may identify possible areas that you need to change, whether it's the policy, giving the employee the latitude to make a decision and not to drive if the road conditions are bad. And then, as with any good risk management program, once you've implemented the changes, you want to monitor those changes, and hopefully that'll help to reduce any type of claims that you have.
Hang on just a second.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons why we put this particular slide together was that oftentimes we start our own investigation and it goes down this track on the right side, and we don't ever get it reported to the insurance company until you are down in the second or third phase of this. Our professional claims handlers are trained to help limit the amount of dollars that are spent out there, and they can do damage control out there in talking with the other parties that are involved there. So the quicker we can get our professional claim handlers involved, the less overall dollars we're going to have potentially involved in the claim. So we just encourage you to be going through these processes at the same time. Don't think that you just do submit the claim,
Right.
you know, and this right half is taking care of itself, or if you're doing the right half, that the things on the left are progressing. We have to know about it before we can start that damage control process. So make sure that both of these things are on a track at the same time.
Right. All right. Well, the next step is, well, you know, best practices to try and prevent that from the onset, because accidents do happen, and you want to have processes in place in order to address that when it does happen. But you don't want to have processes in place in order to prevent those from beginning in the first place. Now, here at SORM, as we've alluded to earlier, we have risk managers, which are spread throughout here. They have the ability to go in to help you. As an agency in SORM, we are here to help you. We're not an auditing function. We're here as a consulting function in order to help you and your agency and your risk management programs. So, we also have driver training classes. I'm going to pick on our two trainers. We have them here, Judy Palmer and Sam Stone. They can go around to the state agencies and give out driver safety training. And then also we can do reviews of claims and statistics, and that's also something One Beacon can do as well. So, and One Beacon has many resources as well online at their website. And so we've had some templates and resources such as MVR evaluations, distracted driving best tips, cell phone policies, and et cetera. So if you have any questions or if you have any need help with developing a program or anything of that such, you know, SORM's here to help you, whether it's our insurance department or your individual risk managers assigned to your agency. So, with that in mind, do we have any questions or comments? Yes, sir.
You know, SORM's recommendations, and what I'd really like to see is you guys say, we'll give you a $10 rebate on your policy if you'll mandatory put a sticker in front of the bus or the car that says, if you see this person texting or talking on a cell phone while driving, call this number.
And you'll fund that.
I would love to see One Beacon put that in the renewal, that you will send us those labels, and we'll get a $10. Because the administration's going to love getting $10 back.
Right.
They don't realize, hey, we got a mandatory that's required now for these labels. And I'm hoping Sam's coming to my place next month. Because it bugs the heck out of me. I can't enforce if I see somebody driving out off the property in a state vehicle, and they're talking on their cell phone.
Right.
You know, I can teach it as much as I can, no cell phone usage, and I would also say that this also applies to police officers.
Correct.
You know, you're going to run.
All I can say is, amen.
Over when they're
Yes.
Right.
And we'll get into some of those best practices in a few minutes. Yes.
Okay, my question is, if it's a POV, on state business, you're gonna file a claim with your insurance agency, and then you're gonna file a claim with SORM? How does that work?
Christy, I'll be out with. She's outside.
So typically, what happens is that they will file a claim with their own personal insurance company, and then if it looks like it's going to exceed their policy, then by all means, SORM should be notified. SORM should probably get the accident information up front, even if there is a remote chance that anything's going to happen.
No, because all of mine are driving POVs, so they're on state business, they get into an accident, they're in their POV, what's the procedure?
Question is, I'm sorry, unfortunately, I can't ask that.
Yeah,
Angela.
I'm actually
She's the expert
the
when
one
it comes to
that's
the policy, so.
I take a bathroom.
She's
What's the
asking that personally owned vehicle, they get in an accident, what's the reporting process for those? Because of course you can report to your primary insurance carrier, but what about One Beacon?
We still would request that you report to One Beacon and to SORM for notification purposes. Puts them on standby. Also, if they evaluate the circumstances and they foresee it possibly going and exceeding the personal liability limits, they can set a reserve and wait for the claim to, get processed by the primary carrier and then possibly respond if it's triggered on the excess.
Would that even be for claims that were the third parties responsible?
That honestly, what I've told them is if you know you're not responsible, you have a police report and so forth, of course you want to do your own investigation, have your own records of it, you want to report it to us, that's fine, we can have it for incident purposes, but at that point, if you're not liable, then it's really not necessary.
Okay. So there's not one of these deals to where, I guess you're interested in, for the information purposes, for SORM's record keeping, that an event occurred. But if it's known 99% factual that it's third party's responsibility, to cover losses, send the information to SORM, just not CC One Beacon.
You can still CC them because we communicate all the time and we have discussions many times. If there's a question regarding liability, they can still send a response, and sometimes we send it to them so that it gets you guys off the hook of saying that, because sometimes the responsible party, the third party, will still say they're not and try to file against you. So then it's nice to have One Beacon step in and say, based on the circumstances,
Right.
we are not going to be liable, or our insured is not liable for this claim, and they'll issue an official position statement. So it goes, that one, when you're not liable, we're flexible. If you want to report it, you can.
Well, what I'm encountering, and this is this recent claim that I sent in, is our agency employee who was in his personal vehicle was struck by a third party. The third party is liable. Our employee's position is, well, if you're not going to cover the damage to my vehicle, why do I need to file a claim with the agency, with SORM, with One Beacon?
And that's going to be your individual policies and procedures that you have established. It really is. If they're driving in course and scope, whatever you decide as a state agency, how you want to handle those. Most of the agencies just say report them all, and let us.
It's usually the carpet bomb method. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And sometimes your employee might have questions about how to handle the claim with that third-party carrier, and we can be the resource for that as well. We can help guide them, tell them what they need to do as far as, documentation, questions to ask, things to steer away from, things to, look forward to.
Yeah, because right now the employee feels like he's just been hung out to dry. I was doing business for the agency, and my personal vehicle was involved. And let's say the other party had no liability insurance, which fortunately in this case they did, that, I'm just hung out to dry. I have no recourse with anybody.
It gets real tricky because if the other party didn't have insurance, then their personal uninsured motorist coverage on their policy would need to respond, but they may not have elected that coverage, and then there would be no recourse for them, unfortunately. So that is...
I guess what my feeling is, by us requesting them to file an auto loss report or an incident report with our agency, I feel like that we're saying, oh, if you file this report now, you're the agency is in some way liable
Going to help pay for the
damages.
damages or something. You're going to have to just be clear and communicate that this is for notification. We'll evaluate it. If we can help you, we will. If if it's eligible for coverage under our excess policy, it will be taken care of. If it's not, we can help you figure out what to do with the responsible party.
I was just gonna add to that too, they can always file on their insurance too, if the other insurance company's dragging along. I've had that happen before where they, it's 3 weeks after the injury or accident, they're not accepting responsibility. I filed it under my insurance, let them subrogate against the third party. Their insurance will fight it.
If they have elected the coverage that's
Exactly.
applicable.
Okay.
Incident report forms, are they somewhere online?
They are now.
They are?
They are now,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, they are posted.
On our
They
website.
weren't originally. I guess they are
I
now.
had John put them on.
Ah, okay. All right.
Yes.
On the claim form you have, you want the employee's signature? Well, that's a little difficult if we already terminated.
Good call.
That is a good call. True.
Because we're gonna get a police report anyhow, and if there's other issues and terminating them.
Well-
That held up this recent claim because, I haven't really ever did that police signature.
Right. Well, if applicable, if you can get the signature, that'd be great.
Okay.
So.
But you as the agency are the insured. So the employee is just, they're included as for coverage, but as far as submitting the claim, anyone from your agency, can pretty much sign for them.
Well, you're asking for employees to.
It would be nice because that verifies that their statement of the events that took place is there, and I know that the One Beacon claims adjusters, that's part of the process, is finding out the people who are actually involved in the incident. They really need statements, whether it's written.
Live, that's the problem versus witnesses and these. That's why they.
Well, and we can't control everyone from lying, but if they sign the statement, then we take it for what it is. It's not,
Honesty is the best policy.
Yeah.
So.
All right, any other questions? Just after lunch, we're going to go through a series of best practices that should be there. It'll be a whole discussion on a lot of those usual things that should be there for any fleet safety program. And then Scott will be talking about the components of a fleet safety program and kind of doing a deep dive on some of those areas. If you're trying to set up those parameters, I know it's going to be an interesting discussion, so stick around for that. So,
Okay.
all right, is it
Thank you.
lunchtime?
Yes, let's see.